This is a moment back in time. The old churches. Chaos Reign presents Garveyism versus the Boule. This is in dedication to one great Marcus Garvey, born August the 17th, 1887, and transitioned or died June the 10th, 1940. Listen good, listen carefully. A wonderful female guest, Nikki, was my guest in regards to this conversation. So sit back and enjoy.
Blog Talk Radio. The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representation as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information for any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In the world, chaos reigns in a system that people oppress. The ones that are in power are the ones that try to establish order, and by they creating the order, they must create the chaos. So it has to take a greater chaos to restore the real order and balance to what we see in today's societies. Good evening. I am Chaos, also known as Scary. And tonight's broadcast, we're going to go in on Garveyism versus the Boule. Oh, and a reminder, this is TRS, Talk Real Solutions platform. The number to call in, let me get the number, 602-753-1949. And also go on the TRS website, talkrealsolutions.com, where you will see the articles, and to click on the I think it was the donation page to keep the show afloat. And also there is a 3-point plan on the same website. So I advise everybody that's listening to this broadcast to go on the website right now and take a look and donate and check out the 3-point plan for Black empowerment. Hold on a second. Before I bring my guests, I'm going to probably read a section. Start off. Oh, and one thing. Okay. As I was taking notes, I noticed today is Marcus Garvey's 76th death. And everybody know Marcus died in England at age 52 in 1940, one of the well-known leaders of the 20th century, and one of the few leaders back in the time where black leadership was on its all-time high, with the help of, white supremacists, BII, or what they call FBI, we formerly know by J. Edgar Hoover, and the government helped to take down this prestige leader. Right now, what I'm about to do, because I took some notes, I'm going to read a few pages from Garvey, his opinions and philosophies. One of them will be in regards to propaganda. In regards to relationship with the Boule also played their hand in regards to slowing down and stopping this man when he came to America, particularly W. Du Bois and other Boule members. My guest that I will be bringing very shortly is going to explain more about the Boule, which I'm not familiar with or no knowledge of. So as I go in the page, one of the famous written in quotes from Marcus is the term propaganda and how he views it. It states, propaganda. We are living in a civilization that is highly developed. We are living in a world that is scientifically arranged, in which everything done by those who control is done through systems. Proper arrangement, proper organization, and among some of the organized methods used to control the world is and the things known and called propaganda. What is propaganda? Let's go what Marcus says. Propaganda has done more to defeat the good intentions of race and nations than even open warfare. True that. Propaganda is a method or medium used by organized people to convert others against their will. We of the Negro race are suffering more than any other race in the world from propaganda. Propaganda to destroy our hopes, our ambitions, and our confidence in self. Now, that was back in, I believe, in the 1916s, 17s, or the 1920s, when Marcus stated about propaganda. And people don't know how deep propaganda works. This is the same old playbook, like Medelga said, these Europeans use on people to oppress time in and time again. And one of the things that Hitler used during his extermination camp back in the 40s. And people didn't know that a lot of things that Hitler got in philosophy, he took off Marcus. And Marcus kind of wrote a letter and told him personally of thank you for stealing his own works. But, you know, that's how they do. They sit there and study us and use what our greats have developed and use it against us because we're not using it to our best ability. But before I go into more pages, I'm probably going to bring my guest right now. Kind of want to hold too much time. 1 second. She's not ready yet. So I'm going to continue to read some of this. I'm going to go further. It's good if I took some notes. We're going to go for Doge and Marcus' side because she's going to go in about the Boule and the relationship in regards to these black leaders. Oh, okay, thank you. The history of Marcus. Well, if everybody knows, Marcus was born in St. Anne's, Jamaica in 1887 by, I believe, a father that worked in the field, and I figure mom either worked the same way or the household. Now, this is from my memory. I'm not going to really go in the books to tell because people could research this. And Marcus was very much a student person. One of the things that he really brought in his development was his way of reading. Because during that time, you know, Jamaica had books, and, you know, he kind of loved to read. I think he read enough things from the Bible, certain historical things, except during his development. And to make matters short, as he gets older, you know, he sees the value of himself, and he looks at his situations as a black man during that time, thinking, even from his own research of the history that he discovered, because, you know, in Jamaica is like any other colony, you know, heavily run by, you know, the white people, and also a color class, which we call the mulattoes, that, you know, the blacks were in somewhat of a oppressive state, where, you know, they were still reduced as workers during and after what we call enslavement. And before they got their own separate land and state, labeled under the crown, Jamaica, and a flag given to them in 1962. That flag you see that's in Jamaica right now, that's only 54 years old when I did the research on that. I thought that flag was always part of Jamaica. Going for the research, it was not. The crown gave that flag to Jamaica. So all people that's from the Caribbean think that, you know, Jamaica had that for a long time and that, you know, they were liberated. No, you cannot be liberated by the same people that oppress you, and they give you a flag and a banner of what they call you're now free from the colony without, you know, still under their wing quietly. Well, we're not really quietly because you still Jamaica still has to pay the crown even today, you know. I remember when Prince Harry came to Jamaica, I think, a few years ago. And it took the Jamaican government almost their economics and their money to subsidize his stay here for a few days. So, it tells you England still runs Jamaica. Sorry, my West End people, they still do. Moving on, Marcus eventually, as he got older, he started, I think after his 20s, I think he came up with the UNIA at age 28, and he came across some of Booker T. Washington's work and was fascinated, even to the point when he wrote a letter to Booker T. And Booker T told him he would come to America, and he showed him how to really build things from, an institution. Because, everybody knows Booker T. Washington is a well-known institution. Tuskegee really helped and developed black people skill-wise. Because in his psychology, if we build on better skill, we would better sustain ourselves as a people, even living in America during that time. So because of his works and what Marcus found good about his works, he decided to take a trip up here. But unfortunately, Booker T met his demise, which a lot of people don't know how Booker T died. I mean, I think they killed him, but we're never going to know because, people got to do their own digging up. 1 second. Let's try to find something else. Another section I'm probably going to read, to step off the history, is more of his precious works in regards to his views on race assimilation, traders, purity of race, and beliefs policy. So we're going to go into race assimilation. What is his view about people assimilating racial-wise? And I remember Sarge did a show about something, and he talked briefly about that. I disagree about people should be having sex with other races, but everybody's grown and they're going to do what they're going to do. But let's go into what Marcus said back in them time. And Marcus says, in race assimilation, some Negroes leaders have advanced the belief that in another few years, the white people will make up their mind to assimilate their black population, thereby sinking all racial prejudice and the welcoming of the black race into the social compensations of the whites, of companions of the whites. Such leaders further believe that by the amalgamation of black and white, a new type will spring up and that the type will become the American and West Indies of the future. This belief is preposterous. See, that's what Marcus said out of his words, preposterous. I believe that white men should be white, yellow men should be yellow, and black men should be black. In the great paranoia of race, until each and every race, by its own initiative, lifts itself up and to the common standard of humanity, as to compel the respect and appreciation of all of the, so make it possible for each one to stretch out the hand of welcome without being able to prejudice against the other because of any inferior and unfortunate condition. The white man of America will not to any organized extent assimilate the Negroes because in so doing so he is feeling that he will be committing racial suicide, which is true, but times have changed. Oh, has it? This he is not prepared to do. It is true he legitimately carries on a system of assimilation, but such assimilation as practice is one that he is not prepared to support because he becomes prejudiced against his own offspring. If the offspring is produced of black and white, hence to the white man, the question of racial differences and internal, so long as Negroes are copied as inferior positions among the races and nations of just as long as we will other be prejudiced against them, because it will be profitable for them to keep up their system of superiority. But when the Negro, by his own initiative, lifts himself from his low state to the highest human standard, he will be in a position to stop begging and praying and demand a place that no individual, race, or nation will be able to deny him. All right, stop on that. Okay, I'm going to stop. Wait, actually, that's it for that part. So in his mind, he don't see that a white man really wants to assimilate both black, yellow, and whatever by all extent. But as we see today in 2016, there is more interracial coupling now than there was in the last 50 or 60 years ago. So is the time changed, or is there a bigger scheme in the plot of this assimilation? We shall see. One more thing, actually, before that, I'm going to bring my guest, and I'm going to read this part about traitors and how he viewed traitors. So, hold on. Okay. All right. The guest I bring in, she's going to formally introduce herself personally. She hails from Maryland, Washington, D.C. This is Nikita Justice, a.k.a. Nikita Washington. Nikita, can you hear me?
Yes. Peace, Brother E. How are you this evening?
How you doing? I'm sorry for the mix-up. You know, saying at times, but the show must go on. Before you go in about the Boule, a lot of our people that listen to us doesn't really know much about Miss Justice or what she's about.
Okay.
If you can kind of tell us briefly who you are, what you do, etc., to the guests that's listening tonight.
Yes, well, I'm Nikki Justice from Baltimore, Maryland, and I am a liberationist, trying to hopefully bring forward some production as far as moving the black family forward and moving the black family in a positive direction through the economics and industrial development. And so it's very difficult. It's a tedious type of task, and we have a lot of work to do. And so tonight, on a very important night, because as you know, our ancestor who has actually transitioned over to an ancestor, which is Brother Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay. He passed this week, and his funeral was today. And I just want to say may peace be upon him and all of his family, and hopefully that what we've seen today. Of course, we were not around when Brother Marcus Garvey passed, but I am seeing what's going on with Brother Muhammad Ali and with his passing, and what type of opportunity that this has become for white supremacy. And watching is very disheartening to see what they have done over his body and over his estate. And they have shown him absolutely no respect. And it really takes me back to the type of public lynchings and dragging the man through the street and, cutting off parts and things of this nature. I personally was very offended. And then today also is the anniversary of Brother Marcus Garvey and his death. And while he was, Brother Muhammad Ali, I feel, was medically assassinated. They used biochemical warfare on him and forced him to suffer because of what his beliefs were and how he had the power and the strength. Not only was he strong, he had the strength to command the diaspora, the African diaspora, and he could go anywhere, and you would see the people in the streets behind him, and that's the jealousy of it. So this was like the last hurrah for them, and I'm pretty sure that this was the same type of feeling when Brother Marcus Garvey, although he did get to live a little bit, they assassinated his character. So that was something as far as breaking the buck. So they put all types of charges on him for him resisting white supremacy and for him forming the Pan-Africanist movement and for him looking into black nationalism and actually the audacity of him to actually own the Black Star Line and to form the foundation of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And so that he had to pay for. So anything on this earth that they could find of him to punish the brother Marcus Garvey is what they did. And they got him for something as simple as mail fraud. And so we have to pay attention because history often repeats itself. And so I'm very, today is a very interesting day. And after what I've seen, I'm just like, if that doesn't move you, as to see the interruptions of Hillary Clinton during the Muhammad Ali, the speeches and the speakers that were actually speaking over his casket and things of this nature, and the only thing that she was speaking of was Planned Parenthood is very disgusting and disrespectful. And it was just a tragedy to see, and it broke my heart. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, like, something must change. And I know people always say that things don't change overnight, but something definitely, after seeing that and after today is, you know, Marcus Garvey's anniversary, and after he was dragged through the mud, you know, and just discredited and totally disrespected when all he wanted to do was to unite black people. That's it. That's all he wanted to do. And he had an excellent plan. He had business. He had skills. His command was respect. He didn't demand respect. He could walk into a room and it was just, all eyes was on him. And he had excellent philosophy that needs to be studied, and his opinions were extraordinary. And I think he was actually on to something, and he actually inspired many other movements like the Rastafarian movement and the Nation of Islam, and on and on and on. And they will try to bill him as a civil rights leader. He was not a civil rights leader, and he had nothing to do with that. But I have seen that in some of the white mainstream medias calling him a civil rights leader. And they also called Brother Muhammad Ali today a civil rights leader as well, and he had nothing to do with that.
Okay. And you know, it's strange that, you know, on that one Friday when Muhammad Ali passed, and I think it was in the night or morning, I'm not sure what time, a week later they now had a funeral on the same day Marcus transitioned, assume a transition, you know. So at times, you know, these people play a lot of serious science, you know, in regards to arranging. Everything works accordingly. And I never watched, I haven't really caught the funeral ceremonies, but it would not surprise me because really, Nikki, they've been assassinated character, most of anybody that's great, when they're dead or alive. Mostly when they're dead, they do it more, you know. And it's our death. Right. Even with Hillary, I didn't even know she talked about Planned Parenthood on a man's funeral.
No, not at his funeral. Not at his funeral. Simultaneously, apparently, Planned Parenthood had some type of conference or something, and his funeral was actually interrupted. Like some of the pre-portions of it, they were speaking about Muhammad Ali, but they was, break to go to this speech that Hillary Clinton was having at Planned Parenthood, and she was actually speaking of abortions. murdering pretty much the black men, because we do know that black women are having abortions at a higher rate from age 15 to I want to say 24. I'm not sure what the correct statistics are, but they are having abortions at a higher rate, and also these Planned Parenthoods are mostly in so-called minority areas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because when I first saw a Planned Parenthood where I'm residing at, I look at it and say, I asked somebody, was that always there? They said yes, but it was never bold-faced what people didn't know about, because they never gave a proper signing that people know, like a sign in the billboards, like on not billboards, the establishment building. But because of things changed up, they now had to place it there where people could boldly see it now. So it's I mean, they put in work, man, to really exterminate enough of our people still, and our people will just walk into the slaughterhouse willingly without their understanding, you know. But to more fact with and you know, one thing that even bring up this, a lot of people don't know much of us want to talk about this thing they call Boule. I mean, we all heard, we never did think about their role and what they really stand for, particularly here in America. I can't speak outside but just their role here, you know. I don't know if you want to talk in brief about this, since you want to understand.
So the Boule does exist. It's the Phi Beta Kappa Society, and it is the Greek version. It's the African American Greek secret society, and it was formed in Philadelphia, and that was by Dr. Henry Minton, and that was in 1904. And so it's for black men and women. You do have to go to college in order to become a part of it, and you don't necessarily have to go to Yale or Harvard, which is where the parent Greek society, which is for the whites, the Skull and Bones, and other secret societies, but the Skull and Bones is for the whites, and the Greek society for the blacks is called the Boule. And what it is when you pledge some of these Greek societies, like the sororities and the fraternities at some of these colleges, you are a part of the Boule. And so what the Boule is that you are promised prominent positions in society. But in order for you to be hazed in order for you to be accepted, you have to go through extraordinary leaps and bounds, such as beatings, rape, sexual acts with animals. In some cases, these hazings have been so brutal that the person who was being hazed has been killed. And that recently happened a few years ago in Florida A&M. So they go through so many different types of rituals, and that is just so you have to pledge your life and pretty much your soul over to these people. And so what the Greek, if you pay any attention to Greek society, you will see what type of deviance it is. And Greek society is based and bound in sexual deviance, and it has certain levels of love, including man-boy love. And the agape love, I think, is the highest level of love. So it's different types of things that the Greeks have considered as love, and that is what the Greek society was formed to represent. So blacks in the Great Depression, this society provided leadership for blacks in the Great Depression. So in the Great Depression, they were the ones that were pretty much doing okay. and they were keeping the other blacks in line. So pretty much they are a defensive tackle line to the whites or to the upper whites that were actually wealthy and well off. And so what they do is they're put in place to stop blacks from uniting or rebelling against the white system that has been put in place to suppress and oppress and enslave Africans here that have been exiled here in America. So somebody like this actual Greek society was actually formed to stop the wealthy and the upper echelons, which are of course the wealthy blacks or upper crust, blacks or uppity blacks, to stop them from going and participating with Marcus Garvey, because if they did that, then he would have had their money, and he would have had enough money to purchase the property or the land in Liberia, and then the Africans here in America and Jamaica would have been able to go to Liberia, and they would have been very prosperous there. But pretty much with W.E.B. Du Bois, his role was to set up the NAACP, which he didn't actually set it up. He was a front man for it, but it was to block the UNIA. So it was like the answer, and it was the block to the UNIA. And W.E.B. Du Bois was a front man for the Boule, and he would put out propaganda statements against Marcus Garvey and things of this nature. So the people that were actually running with W.E.B. Du Bois were lawyers and doctors, black males mostly, because of that time, 1904 to 1920. At that time, men were still, dominant, and so it was all men, and many of them were of prominent stature in the community, considered uppity blacks, and that's what W.E.B. Du Bois was running. But they were fronting for the white people that were actually behind him.
Okay, and interesting that you brought up them, and people don't know these are prominent black leaders before Marcus came here and was eventually deported here. That these were the leaders, I think, during that time. And people know that majority of all leaders were Boule members. Some having, I think Martin Luther was a Boule. Some say that he was Boule, but as he grown more, that he has, I think, what's the best word? Portray the oath. Because people say, for anybody to be a promised leader or a doctor and hired, you have to eventually become something in that type of fraternal order, some way. I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong saying that. Because these are high achievements. And you're gonna be put into some form of role. You know what I'm saying? And any person that's not even aligned in that type of circle, are not gonna be what they call promising, much as get certain help and favors. Like these guys have got. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's how I see it. One thing before I continue, I'm gonna read this section in regards to traders, and people gonna find it interesting. What Marcus find about traders and how people deal with traders. I'm not sure if you ever read any of his works on Nikki, Marcus. No. No, I was asking a question.
Yes, I have. I'm sorry. Yes, I have.
Okay. All right. Well, this is what Marcus said about traders and how to deal with traders. In the fight to reach the top of oppressed have always been encumbered by the traders of their own race, and made up of those of little faith and those who are generally susceptible to bribery for the selling out of the rights of their own people. As Negroes, we are not entirely free of such cumbrance to the outspoken. I believe we are more encumbered in this way than any other race in the world because of the lack of training and preparation. You already said training and preparation for fitting us for our place in the world amongst nations and races. The trade of other races is generally confined to the, mediocre or irresponsible individuals. But unfortunately, the traders among the Negroes race are generally. Hold on. Okay. Where was I? Negro race generally to be found among the men highest place of education and societies, the fellows who call themselves leaders. For us to examine ourselves thoroughly as a people, we will find that we have more traders than leaders, because nearly everyone who essays to lead the race at this time does so by first establishing himself as the pet of some philanthropist, I think they call philanthropist, of another race, to whom he will go and debase his race in the worst form, humiliate his own manhood, and thereby win the sympathy of the great benefactor to him what he should do in the leadership of the Negro race. Let me pause right there. I don't know if you got that. I wonder if this deals with same thing we're talking about Boule in regards to leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wrote that when he confronted these so-called talent 10 niggas, W. Du Bois. Mm-hmm. And before I go on, you must understand Marcus has respect to every black person he come across, because he finds with every black person, another person we could all uplift each other if we work as a collective together. Don't get wrong that this man does always pick and choose. He will work with any black person in regards to building and help the survival of the race. He did come front with W. Du Bois in regards to his knowledge after Booker T washed out. I think it was one of the people he came across when he came there. I'm not sure I'm right or wrong. I'm not sure you know the history of that. I remember when he came here in 1916, I think he was they said he was somewhat of a leader, because Booker T. Washington was the head leader at that time, and he was second. And when Washington died, he was put in that so-called leadership role. But when Marcus came here, he already took on very fast in a short period of time than what Du Bois could do. You know what I'm saying? So I think jealous and envy is part of that, you know what I'm saying, how he disliked Marcus, besides his size, but his skin color. Find how he galvanized a bunch of people that he couldn't do, you know?
Right.
You must go.
Well, I think that Booker T. Washington, he played a big role, and he was kind of like the middleman between W.E.B. Du Bois, and he was, Brother Marcus Garvey's contact before he came to America. So he was definitely in the middle of everything that was going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was. Up and up. Fine.
And as far as the leaders, so we do know that there was, of course, Mrs. Amy Garvey, and she was married to Brother Marcus Garvey in 1922. And she provided a lot of support for the UNIA. And during his imprisonment, of course, she stuck beside him, all the way up until his death in 1940. And then, of course, they had their children. They had Marcus Garvey Jr. and Julius. So he did have a wife. A lot of people don't speak of her. So we want to say may peace be upon her, and for having the strength to go through something as trying as as what she endured during those years.
Yeah, man.
And also at the same time, upholding and upkeeping a family while also trying to hold together a nation. That's a very big job. So much peace and respect and love to her.
Yeah, a lot of responsibility. And people forgot to say Marcus loves and respects black women to a point where it said in any of his moves, he could not push out any moves without including our women at that time. Because remember, they're ones that developed, I think was the Black Cross, because it was Red Cross, a Black Cross, yeah. And a lot of women were side to side, you know. So everybody in the collective worked together harmoniously, you know. If you don't know that, you know. And that's one thing that out of all leaders, they can't really take away from Marcus. I mean, I can't remember any one of these Boule people really put aside the woman in any movement. Am I wrong? Because I don't think I hear much about them.
No, you don't. And pretty much in the Boule movement, the wives are, they're in it. They can marry into it, or they can actually be in a sorority and get into it that way as well. So we do see a lot of women that are in sororities, and they have to endure, of course, the same type of hazing experience, and they do, let's say, party or pledge with the male fraternities, which pretty much means that sometimes they become the party pack or the life of the party, if you know what I mean, for these brothers. And so it's a big, to me, if you look into Greek mythology and Greek types of love, and the agape love is the type of love that Reverend King Jr. referred to a lot during some of his speeches and during some of his critical messages. He used what he learned in theology school, and I think he went to Crozer Theological Seminary in Boston University, and they spoke a lot about Greek, the ancient Greeks and things of this nature. And so Reverend King early on took on the Greek theology and the ideology of agape love, which is a Greek concept. And
okay.
he also pledged Alpha Phi Alpha. So he was a fraternity member, and that's what makes him a part of the Boule.
Mhm. Mhm. And you know, because they talk about the Boule, because Malcolm and Martin died so long ago, a lot of people never really mention about Martin's affiliation with the Boule in a certain manner and how it relates to things, you know? And that's why I find it interesting. But this is what I'm going to do for people, because I'm going to let Nikki get a little drink. I'm going to finish read this paragraph, and I'm going to play a song. So let me finish read this so people can understand the traders. It is generally you must go out and teach your people to be meek and humble. Tell them to be good servants, loyal and obedient to their masters. If you will teach them such a doctrine, you can always depend on me to give you $1,000 a year or $5,000 a year for the support of yourself, the newspaper, or the institution you represent. I will always recommend you to my friends as a good fellow who is all right with this advice and prospect of patronage or paramedics of the average Negro. Leaders go out to lead to formulate masses. These leaders tell us how good or Mr. So-and-so is, how many good friends we have in the opposition race, and that if we leave everything to them, all will work out well. This is the kind of leadership we have been having for the last 50 years. Now, what do you mean by 50 years? Marcus came here in 1960 in America. So that means leadership was the same back then and pretty much same now from what he's saying right now. Moving on. It is nothing else but treachery and treason of the worst kind. The man who will comprise an attitude of his country is a traitor. And even so, the man who will compromise the right of his race can be classified in or no other way that the of a traitor also. Not until we settle down as 400 million people and let the men who have placed themselves in the lead of us realize that we are disgusted and dissatisfied, and that we shall have a leadership of our own and stick by it. When we get it, we will able to lift ourselves from this mere degradation to the height of prosperity, human liberty, and human appreciation. Yeah, that was something. Let me see. I'm probably going to read one more section, because this one caught my attention while I was going through his works. Oh, and for the, I wish I could pull out a link for people to get the PDFs or the book itself. One of the good books to get from Marcus Garvey, if you can, is Life Lessons by Marcus Garvey. That's a black book. And that has all of his letters and info of his philosophy opinions in that book and his trials that he went through during that time in one book, more than all the other books that separate from Marcus and his works. And another good book to also get is The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Was constructed and written by his first wife, Amy Jacqueline Garvey. And the last section I'm probably going to read before we go on a minor break is beliefs that race problems will adjust itself by policy. Some of our leaders in the Negro race flatter themselves into believing that the problem of the black and white in America will work itself out, and that all the Negro has to do is to humble, submissive, and obedience, and everything will work out well in the sweet by and by. But the keen students will observe this, that a terrible mistake was made between 40 and 50 years ago, when black men were elected to legislative assemblies all over the country, especially in the southern states, and even at the national capital, when representatives of this race occupied seats in Congress. The mistake was made as far as the white people were concerned. There was a state of disorganization, nations, and in that state, certain things happened by mere chance. In the chances, dozens of black men became senators and congressmen. The opening up to the eyes of the white nation, the possibilities of the black man governing the white man in these United States of America, the possibilities of the black man making laws to govern the white man, the possibilities drove them almost in madness and suddenly rejecting the spirit of the Constitution and the Declaration of Lincoln that all men was created equal. Hence, a determination was arrived at that never again would in the possibilities for the race of slaves to govern the race of master within these United States of America. Some of the beliefs that this slave men of ours will live in the United States of America, and in the future again become lawmakers for the white race. Our slave masters of 60 years ago, nothing of the kind has happened in all human history. Get it? All human history. There is not one instance where a slave race living in the same country within the same bounds as the race of masters that enslaves them as being in numbers less than the race of master has ever yet ruled and governed the master. You didn't read that. Let me read that again. The race of matters that enslave them and being in numbers less than the race of masters has ever yet ruled and governed the master. It has never been so done, or where was it done in history, and it will never be so in the future. The hidden spirit of America is determined that and shall never be caring of what hopes and promise we get. But history has recorded when a race of slaves through evolution, through progress, has risen to the height where they rule and dominate those who once enslaved them. But that race of slaves has always had to be taken except to other habitats, usually their own native land, and they're apart from those who once enslaved them, develop a power of their own, a strength of their own, and in the higher development of that strength and of that power, they, like others, have made conquests, and the conquest sometimes has enabled them to enslave those who were enslaved them, so as to encourage the idea that one day Negroes will rise to the highest in the administration of this white government is only encouraging a vain hope. The only wise thing for us and ambitious Negroes to do is to organize the world over. Hear that? Organize the world over and build up for the race of mighty nations of our own in Africa. And this race of our that can not get recognition and respect in the country where we were enslaved by using our own abilities, powers, and genius would develop for ourselves in another country, in our habitats, a nation of our own, and the ability to send back forth the countries from that native inhabitants into the countries where we were once enslaved. Representatives of our race that will get such much respect us as other administrator from any other race or nation, ambassadors of other race in the nation. So right now, we're gonna take a short break, play a little music, and we will be right back. All right, we're back. You there, Nikki? Nikki, you there? Oh, wait, hold on. Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Nikki? All right. You good now? You all set?
Yes.
All right. All right, now we're going to open the lines now for any intake or questions onto this matter topic I present tonight. And you can ask my beautiful guest, Nikki Washington, any questions on knowledge on this subject too. Oh yeah, and the call number tonight is 602-753-1949. Press 1 if you have a question, and I will see you on the queue. The first number I will open up. First area code 425. Last number 13. Your line is open. How are you doing? 425, your line's open. Last number 4013, your line's open. Any questions? Okay, you just listening. Mute for a second. All right, let me see what else is. No, all right, I guess they're waiting. But one thing before we move on, any upcoming events you be attending or anything you be doing in this coming months, Nikki?
No, I don't have any upcoming events. I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, cool. But one question: have you ever visited Jamaica before?
No, I haven't. I would like to go.
I visited Jamaica, and it's been a long time. I'm gonna pay a visit very soon to go visit Jamaica. I went there back in the 90s when I was a boy. And I've been to certain places that I can recall. I don't know if I've been to the place where Marcus was born, St. Anne's. Because my parents, one of them, was born specifically in St. Mary. And there's more country over there. And, despite seeing the scenes that, it is very natural at times how most of our people, even today, still work on the fields at this day and age, you know what I'm saying? Without no proper, what they call, basics of arithmetic and reading, like learning. Everybody think of Jamaica, everybody as well suit. Yes, a good portion of the population, but not everybody, because not everybody went to school or could afford school in Jamaica, even today. I want people to get that clear, you know what I'm saying? But there's some bright, intelligent people in Jamaica, I tell you, besides Marcus, because the people that I confront with that I confront, they could do pretty much anything. One woman could know how to operate a computer from inside out when she first stepped into college over here, and one of her professors was astonished to know she knows such vast knowledge. And they'll say the Crown teaches, even the institutes teach our people not only the basics, but things that will help them further on, depending on how further they go take their education. So I don't want people to be fooled. Now, a lot of people at the islands are very stupid. No, they're not. They got most of their basics and more, besides of the myth education and, the same things that's being played here in America. So I don't want people to get misconstrued that Ritalin and all that stuff. They do get that too, and what they call it, special education too, but not as heavily. You know what I'm saying? Very minimal. You know what I'm saying? Because for certain people, even the children is not really allowed, and the Jamaican government's not going to allow most of the children to fall in the waistline like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they value education. And mind you, Marcus, and I think I remember reading one thing when he was in jail, the letters he wrote in jail, that he wanted to establish an institution because he knows to fix the problem, he has to recondition the mind. That was Marcus' premise of building a school, because he could see most people that were educated, they only could go so far. But because of how the movement spread, because of the mindset, a lot of our people back in the time and now were act like and think like Europeans, or what they call Eurocentric and blackface. They couldn't take it more further because they be like the European man in all aspects. They're not really concerned about building a nation. You know what I'm saying? Off the master's grass or off the master's city. Are you about to say something?
Right, and I think one of his one of his philosophies was embedded in ambition, and it says this is there is nothing in the world common to man that man cannot do. And so under ambition is the desire to go forward and improve one's condition. So that would be, change the mindset and try to fix what's going on around us. And it is a burning flame that lights up the life of the individual and makes him see himself in another state. So that's very important, to see yourself differently, to see yourself as this little light of mine. Some people say that I'm going to let it shine. So it says it is a burning flame that lights up the life of the individual and makes him see himself in another state. So you have to get that desire from within. You have to find that ambition within. And to be ambitious is to be great in the mind and soul. So your mind and your soul must be great, just not one of them. You have to be excellent. You have to be on another level. Okay, and that would be, you can equate that to knowing thyself, and getting to know yourself and to know that you are above your condition. You are above your constraints. And you also have to want that which is worthwhile and to strive for it and to go on without looking back, reaching to that which gives satisfaction. Okay, so this is very interesting. And to be humanely ambitious is to take in the world, which is the province of man, and to be divinely ambitious is to offend God by rivaling him in his infinite majesty. So that's deep. That's like so that's pretty much him, pretty much much of what the young men are saying today is they are gods, or they have the inner God within them. So that's pretty much what it sounds like that he is trying to project in his philosophy of ambition.
And you know, I see enough of our youth have much potential, and ambition is just, it needs a sense of striving direction. You know what I'm saying? And when you talk about black leadership, that's for me how I see a leader. That person that will not only somewhat lead, but give a sense of a direction. That person could emulate and say, when I look at that person, say, that's the direction I want to not only take, but how I want to see myself take a further direction than what the leader's presenting. You know? It's an inspiration,
right.
You know.
Right, and I think some excellent ways to figure out yourself is maybe you have to do some meditation. You have to really do some deep soul searching and figure out which way is moving forward for you. And you have to tie up loose ends. And you have to, of course, cleanse your body of poisons. I think changing your diet is very important because not only, say it again.
And fasting, too. Enough fasting.
Fasting, correct. Yes. Fasting, of course, definitely fasting. So that would be a part of it. But I would say before you can fast, you would definitely have to repair your body. And so that's when you would actually change your diet because there's something that says that your body becomes, like your liver regenerates itself every so often, and so do your kidneys and things of this nature. So if you're just drinking alcohol and smoking, then that's what your kidneys and your internal organs will become. So we must be very mindful of what we are eating. I do know that most things on this earth at this point are poisonous, but we do need to add more grains, more fruits and vegetables and things of this nature. I do understand that organic is a little bit more expensive, but we have to, purchase a water filter. I definitely would recommend purchasing a water filter instead of purchasing the bottled water because now we found out that the plastic is actually poison. So many things are poisoning us.
Yeah, the water bottles are very.
Say it again.
Water bottles are very toxic, from what I'm finding out now. About even when they was testing the waters in all the plastic waters, and a lot of them still have the they call wait, I know the name. Give me a second. Not chloride. Chloride, and those things that was used in not Jeremy. Fluoride. Yes, that's what it is.
Fluoride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So to purify your body, your mind, your soul, you have to start, I think, with the foods that you eat, exercise, try to walk. Try to get some more exercise and try to clear your mind. So that would be the beginning to your ambition to improve your condition, to light that burning flame that lights up the life of the individual, and to get yourself into a higher state and to get yourself into a higher being. And that definitely doesn't happen overnight. It will take time because your body will have to replace itself.
And
those toxins have to be purged from your body. So to get on the mindset of Brother Marcus Garvey and some of these others, we definitely would have to stop eating certain poisons such as pork and beef and other things that are actually shot up with.
Yeah, we don't
Correct.
control.
Correct.
All right. Nikki, I'm going to open the line now. We have one caller. All right, caller 314. Your line is open. Do you have any takes or anything on what discussed tonight? 314. Hello? Hold on a second. Last number is 0790. Can you hear me? I want to make sure my board's working. Let me see. All ones. Can you hear me? All ones. Give me 1 second, Nikki. I got to check on my switchboard's working because it's They're on, but hold on. Yeah, give me a second, because I want to make sure my switchboard is working. Let me check the chat room for a second. See if you guys can hear. No, their switchboard. Hold on. Okay, they said they can hear me. Okay, so let me go back to the switchboard. All right, good. All right. Well, 314, your line's open. If you have nothing to say, I will put you back on mute. Wait, hold on. Get a message. Okay. All right. Let me play a quick book. Yeah, I'll probably play a quick song. All right, so I will.
Yeah, check the line to see if it's working.
Yeah, this. Oh, wait. Okay, now pop up. I see numbers now popping more. All right, 314. I'm gonna put you on mute. I'm gonna open you another line. Nikki, don't go offline yet. Somebody's on the line. 773. Okay. Your line's open. Yeah, you have anything to bring to this conversation?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Brother?
Who's this again?
This Amma.
Okay, how you doing, Amma? Good.
Well, shit, I'm all good. Look, what happened with the Marcus Garvey and Du Bois thing? What exactly happened now? What did Garvey say?
Did you catch any portion of the show, brother? Amma?
No, I didn't. I caught the last end of what she was saying about Garvey and something about the Boule with how he. What happened?
Nikki, yeah. I don't know if you want to answer that, Nikki.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Who talking about Nikki? Okay, what's up? How you doing, Nikki?
Hey, how you doing? Who is this?
This Amma.
Oh, hey, brother Amma. Okay, so what did you want to know?
I was saying, what exactly did Garvey say about Du Bois?
What did he say about him?
Right.
No, I didn't say what Marcus Garvey said about him. I just said what the Boule was and what they represented towards Marcus Garvey and his UNIA. They were the answer to the UNIA movement, which was going back to Africa and going to Liberia.
Okay, I thought I heard something about Du Bois or something. I don't know where I heard that from. Then I thought I heard that.
Well, Du Bois is the one who actually started and he was the front man for the NAACP, and the NAACP was the answer for the UNIA to stop people in the upper crusted blacks, or the ones who had. It was a Greek society for black people. And people such as, men pretty much at that time, for lawyers and doctors and things of that nature, to stop them from supporting Marcus Garvey. And they were actually a defensive line to help discredit the UNIA movement.
Yeah. And, brother, one thing from what I can remember, I think W. Du Bois, at the time when Marcus was here, said some little offensive things about Marcus, how he was short and black and ugly and all that stuff, because of jealousy. You understand me? So, at times,
I hear you.
Yeah, there was some riffraff between the two, you know what I'm saying? And Marcus never really started nothing because he's a humble man that wanted to unify black people in the front. It's just, people like Du Bois or anybody like Boule, you know what I'm saying, were fighting against what is to known that would help benefit the whole entire race long term, That's what I'm just saying.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to open up. Yeah. All right, stay in line. I'm going to open the line. The last number, 1347. Your line's open. The discussion is Garvey versus Boule. You have any comments or questions with my guest tonight, Nikki Justice? And who's this? 1347. I'll open your mic. 347. Going once. Going twice. All right.
Right. See, my whole thing, right? They gonna say you criticizing their black people because you're looking at him objectively.
Is
say it again.
Wait, who's this again?
People would say this armor. Well, I mean, what's going on? What's going on, Gary? I gotta keep. You got my line open or not?
It's open.
Yeah, it's open. It's open. I want to make sure.
Right.
No, it's open. It's open. I got to make sure. Yeah, it's open. Go ahead. Talk. Go ahead. Go talk.
Shit, I had lost my thought, man. It's gonna be people who gonna say that criticizing their black people by looking at Du Bois objectively when it came to that situation. What do you say about that, Nikki? How is that? I mean, what's going on with that? Is that okay? Is that is that a good way to look at that? Should we not look at him objectively or something like that or whatever because of what he did?
In all actuality, there is, to the truth, there's no good and bad. There's just the truth. And this happened way before even my great-grandparents were even born. So This is not something that I made up. This is actually in play even today. That's the
point I'm trying to make. We see that same type of shit going on today, basically. You know what I mean? With the smallest of things. And so it's something to that. So that's all. And if people don't want to recognize that, then I don't know. It's almost like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's something to that mentality.
This is written. It's not a mentality. It's actually written down, and it's in the books. It's on paper as to what the actual purpose was. And W.E.B. Du Bois, the founder of the Boule, of the Sigma, the Greek fraternities and things of nature for African Americans, even said that that's what this was for, to stop the upper blacks from supporting Marcus Garvey.
Right. And,
so it's not like I made that up.
Right. No, I'm not objecting to what you're saying. I'm just putting the point out there, you know, because there's a lot of feedback against this. Because I had this argument, well, not even an argument. I was discussing this with somebody the other day, with Tyrone actually, and they feel
Tyrone. Shout out to Tyrone.
Tyrone is the Tyrone. Charles called him an alchemist, and so he switches it around and turns it to be supporting some crazy shit. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
because some people are against speaking against W.E.B. Du Bois, and I can understand why. But even speaking against Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., he was sent. You understand? He was sent to do exactly what W.E.B. Du Bois was sent to do, and so he picked up where he left off, either knowingly or unknowingly. But see, at the end of both of their lives, they were able to realize the error in their ways, but at that point it was just too late.
Right. And right, but see, and today if we analyze that objectively, maybe people wouldn't have to get on their dying bed to realize the error with their ways when they being disagreeable with each other. That's sort of kind of where I'm leading to.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with, you know, like even if these men were in my family, I still wouldn't say, well, don't say that. You know, I think us as black people sweep too much truth and too much actual history under the rug to preserve a certain thought or to preserve a certain memory, but then that would be false. So we can't live false lives when we're already being fed, you know, falsities under this system anyway. So I think knowing is half the battle, and that's where we get a chance to actually change what happened then between what's happening now. But if you look at what's happening now, like you said, it's still going on today.
Yeah, that mentality is still there. It's just a disagreeable nature we got with each other. It's still there.
We see it with the NAN, which is National Action Network. The NAACP is very prominent. I don't know why nobody supports them. So how are they still a leader in something they're called with civil rights? Who did that? Hello?
Who's that? Your mic's up.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry. This is just a nobody. I didn't know my mic was open.
Just nobody.
Yeah,
it's number
talk
four.
crazy in the background too, nobody.
Just nobody. It's your mic. Is your number 425?
I have no idea. Whatever number showed up. That's it.
Keep talking.
It's 252. The 252 number. You yelling at the end of the number. I don't know what that is. 252.
Okay, nobody. Okay. Well, have you listened to early parts of the show or some middle part of the show? Nobody?
A little bit here and there. I listened in here and there. I know you spoke about traders, and TJ got you on some other stuff, talking about the beef, the so-called beef going on between. I just got a question, and really, there was no cell phones, right? There was no internet, and I'm not even sure. I don't know when did mail run. I'm not even sure about mail. But who promoted these so-called beefs between these men?
They had mail, because that's actually how you got locked up, Marcus Garvey. They had mail from.
Okay, well, answer my question. Who promoted? So, is there a letter saying that? WEB. Excuse me. Don't cut me off, man. Go ahead, man. No, I'm just saying, is there a letter, something written saying that, I'm beefing with this person or that person because of this reason or that reason?
They didn't talk like that.
Okay.
No, they didn't talk like that.
All three of these men, can I say what I have to say? Can I say what I have to? All three of these men were writers. We know that based on their books that they have written or amendments or whatever. Marcus Garvey with his, little outline of, what a Pan-Africanism is and, the rules and regulations of that. So all of these men were writers, but not one letter says, I'm beefing with this person or that person. When you read The Souls of Black Folks, you see that W.E.B. Du Bois, he says in his book what his position was when it came to Booker T. Washington. And he didn't say anything too far to the left nor too far to the right. He was right in the middle. He gave positive as well as negative review of what Booker T. Washington was doing. But even in that, he respected the man. And you could go read it. Souls of Black Folks, it's in there of him speaking, him writing about Booker T. Washington. It's in there. So I don't know where.
About Marcus Garvey.
Okay, even with Marcus Garvey, where's the letter at? Where's the letter handwritten or whatever? Where's this written that these two people, they were going back and forth because they both were writers. So we should see something written by either one of these two people stating that this is what it is and this is their opposition to what it is that they're doing.
All right. I'm gonna let Nikki want to answer that. If not, I'll have to move on to the next caller. Nobody.
No, I don't know about no letters though. But I'm understanding that Du Bois was apologetic for not working Garvey about it, like we was just talking about at the end of his death. So.
But still, these
nobody. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next card. So sit back, okay? Okay, let me see what else is on the line. Let me go back to 425.
Gary, how you gonna cut somebody off if you ain't even sure if nobody on the line?
Relax, guys. I got it here. 425. Do you have any questions? Response? It's not there. Just listening. Okay. We're just moving on. I tell people many times, the books are there, and usually during the time I live, and we all know Marcus, who run the newspaper, tells you enough of his stories, and this is the only evidence right now that's left while the man lived. Can't say nothing more, nothing less. I'm saying, and people could do their own research. I mean, I haven't really gone too much with the WD boy because he is, I guess, more of an intellect than a leader. How I view it. And that's how I see it. I don't see nothing really special or different. But he did a lot of damage. And, he, at the end, did regret it. That's why, he's fled America and gone to Ghana. That's my take. But I'm opening the line. 409. Your line is open. Who is this? And do you have anything to discuss or questions on the topic at hand? 409. 3887. Are you there? Okay, so I guess you're listening. Put you on hold. Hold on, let me see if my switchboard is working. Man, this thing's acting up. Okay. Nikki, you there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But like I said before, people must understand during the time those two men lived, they had different views. But in regards to this subject of Garveyism, and really people don't understand what Garveyism is. They think this is like a new phenomenon. I mean, I look at a man that creates something in regards to, how people should not only live, but how people should, move forward during the time he lived. It probably was not perfect to some, but it was a start, a footnote, in regards to the times people lived back in them times. People forgot to say back in the 1920s and stuff, in segregation, it was not really too much impossible to galvanize millions of people because back in them time, I think our people were, different mind state, and they felt the oppression head on because not only they were getting, racial prejudice, but they were getting lynched, depending on where you were at. I don't know if anybody would agree or disagree. I mean, there were stories and there were movies even at times when you could see the lynching, where a lot of them that moved from down south and came up north because they avoid lynching.
Yeah, you got nobody muted.
Yeah, I'm moving on. I'm checking the lines. Well, I'll open the line later after I go through every line caller. Alma. Wait, actually, we got another caller. All ones. Your line is
What's up, man? This is Facts.
Facts.
I wanted to call in.
Peace, brother.
Real quick to give my, you talk about Garveyites, Garveyism.
You actually, it's Garveyism versus the Boule. And we just sitting there discussing, the two fractures, what really was Garveyism and what role the Boule played, not only in destroying, Marcus' movement, but other things in regards to leadership, black leadership. And I did read, right.
Well, yeah, you're saying that they were going against him. Right, but his politics is not going to work. I understand you're talking about the past. And, people can still have that mind frame, but it's a new day and time. You were talking about the beginning of the 21st century. They call that the Roaring Twenties. But those Roaring Twenties came to Great Depression. All those white Republicans and black Republicans that were men fucked up this nation. I know we had Black Wall Street and other things. We had little spots, but all those Roaring Twenties as a whole fucked up the nation. That's why people got to get Social Security. When people finish working, if you don't have no retirement plan, that's the only thing you got to depend on is Social Security. And it was the Republicans who worked for all that shit. But but I want to say something about.
Go ahead. No, one thing because you mentioned Social Security, and I really want to indulgent because
Yeah, why did you just yell on the phone like that, yo? You yell like a motherfucker. Why did you just yell on the mic like that?
No, because
yeah, you just yelled out of, you yell uncontrollably, like you just lost control. Like a spirit came through you or something, yo. Why you just do that?
I think that's that microphone, Gary. You got to turn that motherfucker down, man.
But no, let me say something about. Well, hold on. Let me say something about your topic. I understand that, and we should have, as far as Garvey, have a connection to Africa as far as business. But Americans going over there in droves, just trying to live over there. If that was some part of his message, that's not happening today. You have China. If you go over there trying to stop Africans from being Muslims or Christians, they're going to shoot you and they're going to kill you coming over there with American politics. If you tell them that China needs to get out of their country, they're going to shoot and they're going to kill you.
Hold on. Before you continue, the whole thing we're discussing about is Garveyism versus Boule. I'm not concerned about people getting shot and killed if they start repatriating. And mind you, a lot of people are repatriating slowly but surely back to Africa. And most times people don't like it or not. And have done successful. So I'm not going to shut down most people that want to repatriate. You know what I'm saying? I would advocate most people, if they decide to make that big move, that they're secure and ready enough to make that greater step and help build back the nation in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Because really and truly, Africa really does go. And I'm going to compare vultures and Nikki vultures, so will most everybody black outside of Africa will go too. Because the only land resource there's a land that we have, we can go back, and that's ours. Because the Europeans, and most time people could stay love, if they want, they could stay here, but eventually, if they can go back home, they can go back home without no visa. Same thing with the Asian man. It's just, and surprising that all these other nations go back to the homeland without any serious paperwork. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. You get me, Nikia? Nikia?
I can hear you.
You know what I find very interesting? A lot of these people really, especially the Europeans, can go back home without no serious paperwork to go back home if they choose to. Same thing with the Asian man. But with us, black people, not this country, but I think everywhere else, we had to show documents wherever we go. You ever find that funny? That's a question.
You asking me? Or is all sex on?
Yeah, I was asking you a question, yeah. Anybody find it very strange?
Oh, okay.
I find it, yeah. I don't know if you want me to rephrase the question if you lost it.
Yeah, we have nowhere to go, is what you're saying, and correct. And we need papers, right?
Yeah.
That's
everybody else, every other nation could go back home. Now, on their side might be the key, maybe, and maybe true. But I find that they have a homeland they can go back to. That's what I'm trying to say. But what us as people, either here or anywhere outside America, it's not only monster, but we have that.
I think that's something we got to get over, man. And we got to, and you know, if we ain't gonna team up and do some shit, then you got to make it happen. How you got to get it done. And if going to Africa is for you, cool. And you know what I mean? Going south, staying here, whatever you got to do. But you know what I mean? All I say is just show some love wherever it is you're gonna go. You know what I mean? And they're gonna show you some love. And that's how you got to do it, you know. That's how it works.
There are things that we can do here in the United States. It's just that we have been scattered in our mind frames and our mindsets, and we have been traumatized and put into so much fear that at this point I really don't see too many people, or I could trying to actually do something like what Brother Marcus Garvey did, but here in the United States of America, we can do something like that here, but everybody has a reason as to why we can't. So that's why I think that it hasn't happened before now, and that none of our efforts have actually been successful in that venture. Even with some of the organizations that are still surviving today, you see them going towards, the regular. They're pretty much falling in place too, with the supremacy that's going on at this point. And there were several to answer the sister's question, as far as was there an actual letter that you're going to write to somebody and say, hey, I'm beefing with you? No, there is no letter that says that. What happened was, which again is that there were several letters written to the government that were written to the U.S. Attorney General, and that were written to various governments overseas, like England and France and places of this nature, saying that you have to stop him at every chance
I remember that.
You get.
Yeah.
And so that's what once again, the NAACP is. So W.E.B. Du Bois was the front man for it, but the white people that were actually behind it is another story, and that was Mary White, Ovington, I think somebody named Oswald, Billiard. There was a couple of other. It was like two other white ones. I think William English or something of this nature. There were 4 white people that were actually the founders of the NAACP, and W.E.B. Du Bois acted as the face of it. So, were there letters? No. But the Greeks, the African American Greek Society was expressly formed to stop the black upper crust, the black doctors, the lawyers, the ones that were considered upper tier or bourgeoisie, or if you will, but they had to be a part of a fraternity in a college. You can't just be considered as Boule. You have to go through a process.
It's like a screening process, for lack of term, because to really be in position what they want to dictate. And it goes back to what I read the section, I don't know, anybody listened earlier show about traders. This is a process of leadership where at times they got still see their bigger masters and learn everything, saying, so they can come back to the real master people on their what they taught from the master itself.
Right.
And one of these same universities, and it's not just the head universities that, like Nikki said about Yale, or I think the other one, I don't know if it's Harvard, or any of those big colleges, but in general, every university, this goes to the same historical black colleges. There's a lot of Sigma Phi Beta and all that stuff that are people in these things that are going to be the future house niggas, for a better term, or Boule people that's going to be put forefront to stop any sort of movement any black people try to take across this country, and probably outside this country, because, Boule is pretty much everywhere if you really think about it, Because there are a lot of people
right, so if we look at the very first FBI member, the black FBI member, he was only hired to spy on that organization. So before then, there was no FBI agent at all. So was there a letter? No, there wasn't, but there were several steps that were taken to stop him. So, that answers the question there about the letter thing. And, let people sit and There actually are letters, like I said, to the government from certain other government agencies, and they were to the U.S. Attorney General, and you can find those letters. And it's saying that Marcus Garvey must be stopped. He's agitating ignorant Negroes and things of this nature. So pretty much they were saying that he was taking advantage of helpless little, dumb black darkies. And you got to stop them, because if you don't, that's dangerous, and they'll actually rebel against us. And so that's pretty much how the letter didn't say that, of course, but that's the meaning of it. That black people were too stupid to know how to. Black people were too stupid to know what they want for themselves. Pretty much is what the letter says.
And remember, it's not only they think, and mind you, it's not our people that are not intelligent the way how I was saying, but really true, they didn't want that so-called Messiah, like Jerry Crew created, saying his mouth said, we have to stop the rise of a black Messiah. This, and mind you, this is one of his first line missions back in the, I think, was it the 20s when he was appointed, when he created, well, I don't remember what it was called before Nikki, before it was FBI. I think it was called IBO, or Bureau of Investigations, BIO. Yeah, before FBI. Remember, it turned FBI after was successful in kicking out Marcus Garvey. I think it was like almost a decade later. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know after when Marcus was killed, it became the FBI during 30s. You know? So like most institutions, and that tells you for every movement that we do, our natural enemy is watching. It's a fact. It's not no magical mystery. This is what they do. You know, because it's a form of warfare, because to remain in power, you have to keep the oppressed, deaf, dumb, and blind. Because anytime the deaf, dumb, blind opens their eyes, their ears, and their mind, they're forced to really take back hold and take back the rightful place and rulership and overthrow this oppressor, any oppression, globally. And that's what they want. Especially Europe, because Europe is the brains of the beast. America is the muscle. People got to keep that in mind. So, hold on a second.
Well, it says Garvey has built up an organization which has victimized hordes of ignorant and unsuspecting Negroes, the nature of which is clearly stated by Judge Jacob Pankin of the New York Municipal Court, before whom Garvey's civil suit for fraud was tried. So that's I'm pretty sure if you can find or go back into New York's civil cases, such, you know, their archives, I'm pretty sure the case is there, and you can see more of this and what was being written and said about him actually by the Attorney General and the judges that were actually trying his case.
Yeah, wait, who's this? 1 second, I'm reading some. Yes, that would help. Yeah, so, and truly, you know, it's a lot of work in progress, you know what I'm saying? A lot of obstacles and things that's put in front. It's not like our people cannot overcome these heavy obstacles, you know what I'm saying? And our people got to keep fighting, striving on, you know, because the price for any freedom is, like some people, what's the best saying to say, the freedom is death. And, you know, a lot of our leaders that came and gone, that was what they faced. You know, they know the dangers of doing what is right. And that's why, look at leadership today, particularly black leadership, you don't see much any. Because it's non-existent, because they've already been bought and sold and put in the fear. If you try to do the possibility of death is certain. Not only the physical death, but once they destroy your character, then they physically take the body. Because when the character is destroyed, everything else falls. Hold on, let me see if I think we have another hand up. I'm gonna take this. 472 open. Who's it?
Yeah, this is Nas. What's up, man?
Nas?
Yeah.
How you doing, Nas? Do you have any comments or questions to tonight's topic?
Well, honestly, I think everybody's got to come to their own understanding of things, and it takes time and effort. So I'm at this point, it's really no need in trying to change people's minds. I can't think of her name. I think it was Nobody who called in and gave some great points, and you know, y'all moved on to somebody else. So I mean, I could correct a few things, but I'm sure y'all don't want to hear it. So I mean, I don't know where to go with this.
No, go ahead,
correct a few things.
Yeah, cause I want to hear everything. Go ahead, from your perspective.
Okay. Well, the first thing the other brother said, are we scared of being objective with people from the past? And I would say to be objective, you'd have to measure both sides and then come to a conclusion. You can't start off saying this guy is bad, this guy is good, and then work from there. If you work from there, you're working from a biased standpoint. So the first thing would be Du Bois did not start the NAACP. He was a part of the Niagara movement. That was with him, Monroe Trotter, and Henry Harlan Garnett. That's the Niagara movement. He wasn't part of the NAACP's founding. That was Mary White Ovington, a Jewish woman.
I said that already.
Oh, she said it already. Yep.
You said he was a founder, and I'm telling you he wasn't.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I guess we'll have to go back to the recording. But Mary White Ovington is who started it, and she started it because William English Holloway, who was a writer in Springfield, wrote an account of the Springfield race riots where over 35 black people were killed, over 70 maimed and injured by white people attacking them. He wrote an account of that, and that's what. Excuse me.
You know what year was this, Nas? When these riots and things happened? You know what year?
Give me a few. I have to find it. Okay. Yeah, you have to give me a minute on that. But if you pull up Springfield, Illinois race riots, it'll all come up. And if you pull up William English Walling and Mary White Ovington, that whole story will come up. Another interesting thing is Garvey and Du Bois met early on in Garvey's life when Du Bois was coming to Jamaica as a Pan-Africanist to meet some of the Jamaican authorities. Garvey at that time had shown such promise that he was one of the people in the line to shake his hand and speak to him. So he met Garvey as a young man. And the next time they would meet, which would be years and years later, was when all the tension was between them. And it was Du Bois and a writer in a hotel lobby, and Garvey had just come down. Garvey spoke to the writer. Du Bois and Garvey looked at each other, kind of, not in a good way. Du Bois got in the elevator. They didn't speak. So there were two meetings between these two guys. But look up, you brought up Amy Garvey earlier. Look up the Fifth Pan-Africanist Movement Council, and you'll see Kwame Nkrumah, Azakiri, Jomo Kenyatta, all these other, I think H. Sylvester Williams, all these other African leaders, and Amy Garvey was a part of that Pan-Africanist group, to let you know how much the tension had cooled later on in life. And another thing to understand is Du Bois is not what brought down Garvey. What brought down Garvey was the beginning of COINTELPRO, which would be the FBI agents which were slipped into his organization. If y'all get a chance tonight, punch in Agent 800. That's the one who set up the whole mail fraud issue so they could get him on trumped up charges. Right, but like I said, things have to be at least understood in a way to where it's like, okay, this happened and that happened. So when Garvey met with the Ku Klux Klan, that was the dividing line of Du Bois breaking from him and started hammering him in his writings in the Crisis, and Garvey would respond with his paper, which had way more circulation than the Crisis did, actually, because Garvey, you might as well damn near say, had a movement throughout the African diaspora, from the Caribbean to the continent and here, and England. So it's just an interesting thing, but it's two great people who ended up having, a little beef for a while, but it was resolved. And like I said, bringing down Garvey was not Du Bois. Garvey was brought down by this government, the British government, and others who did not want to see what he was trying to do prosper. And you could actually add Jamaica in there because they love Garvey as a dead man. They honor him. They throw up everything. But when Garvey was alive, the revolutionary hero and fighter that he was, they wanted no parts of it. So, understand that clearly too. But like I said, man, this is a small slice of history, but a lot of work needs to be done on Du Bois. When Nobody Told You About the Souls of Black Folks, I would recommend that book. I would also recommend The Suppression of the African Slave Trade. That was his dissertation at Harvard, and he not only documented how many died, and he still probably has the best estimate.
Is that for Marcus Garvey? Is that for Marcus Garvey?
This was Du Bois. And that's still probably the best accounting we have of how many we lost in the African slave trade and what countries and companies were responsible.
Right. But see, this is the thing. This is okay. So this is about Marcus Garveyism versus the Boule. So what part do you have to say that W.E.B. Du Bois played in the Boule?
That's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing. The old Steve Coakley stuff. When people were talking with you that other time and it turned into an argument, it wasn't big.
It's not about Steve Coakley. It's not about Steve Coakley.
I'm not going to fight every other word. If you
people.
guys want to talk, you can. It's cool.
No, go ahead. I was waiting for you to dispute something that I said, and you haven't done that. You called to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois.
No, I was calling to give, I guess you could say, a record of the two people so we could kind of understand what was going on between the two people. Mm-hmm. No need to be sensitive.
No, I'm not sensitive because you called up saying that you was going to correct what was said or whatever, but what was said was that W.E.B. Du Bois was not the founder. He was the front man of the NAACP. You can press rewind on that. And and so all of that was already discussed. So I'm waiting for something different.
Right. I just told you that part was incorrect. He was not the front man for the NAACP. Not true. He was the editor.
That is
and
true.
Editorials in the crisis.
What part did he play in the Boule?
What did you say that was from?
What part did W.E.B. Du Bois play in the Boule? I didn't say that I didn't say that W.E.B. Du Bois took down Marcus Garvey. I never said that.
Well,
I said that towards the ending.
I
never did. I never said that. I said towards the end of his life, he changed his direction.
Okay, well,
he realized the error of his ways. That's what I said.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
Wait, I'm not.
Okay.
Just 1 second. Let me just open this one line, and I'm going to ask you, have a question. Wait there. 1 second. All once. Your line is open. Who's this?
JNYC. I hope you're ready for my question, but go ahead, brother, because I got a good question for you.
All right. Wait 1 second. All right, Nas, you can ask your question, and I'm going to let Jay ask his discussion. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to ask her what books of Du Bois has she read and what account of Garvey Du Bois has she read from 5 writers who've written books about this particular subject of those two people.
Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't matter what books did I read. Do you want me to read the books to you now over air or what? What do you want me to do?
I'm asking for titles. I'm not asking you to read the book. I'm asking for titles. If you've read the history of these two people that you're discussing. Mm-hmm. That's the topic, so I'm asking if you've read about the topic.
So what I have done is read about both of these men and about even Thurgood Marshall, other men that were actually involved in certain points of the actual Boule. And I have come to my own conclusion on what happened. Now, what I have
come
said...
to this conclusion without reading the work that's been done on those...
I never said that. I never said that. What I'm saying is that I have come to my own analysis on this topic, and that's what this topic was about. Now, you want to talk about the greatness of W.E.B. Du Bois and what parts he didn't have in it, when what I read said that he had everything to do with it. I never said that he took down Garvey. Now, if you had something to add, if you want to suggest some reading, this is to get everybody to think on their own. Okay, this is not for me to break down what you need to think or tell people. If you notice, I was very vague in everything that I said. I never went into any details. I tried to put just the basics out there. Why? Because it's sort of an outline for someone else to go back and look into and to fill in on their own. So that's where the standpoint that I'm coming in at. What I'm saying, you have not said is a lie, or you said it wasn't true or whatever, but you have twisted it into what you wanted it to be, and that's fine. But I've been very clear on my stance, or the stance that has been put out previously in history that I did not write, that I had nothing to do with.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's a perfect insert for what I want to ask. Here we are talking about history. We need to start making our own history, right? So my thing is this. How can we take this information and utilize it where either we packaging it up, sell it, or we're going to the colleges as scholars and actually benefiting from this, because, you know, we have a lot of our people that are caught up on all this history, almost like with religion, but yet here we are in 2016, and we have mass destruction happening in our communities, right? So I'm saying, my question to you is, sis, and anybody, is here we are on a Friday night, right? And, you know, getting out of work and want to get ready for the weekend for whatever they're doing. How can we bring this 360 right now into these times where we're benefiting off of this history, or we can utilize it, like I said, whether it be as a scholar or, you know, where we're getting some money for it, or we utilizing it to better ourselves right now in the current times, and that will make some changes? Because I see on your title it says about 69 people were killed, right? Is that right?
69 people. I don't recall.
69 people, something like that. But I just say, because what struck me, actually what caught my eye was 69, right? I mean, it's a funny number, but the thing is, and it's not so funny, 69 people were shot over the Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if you spoke and emphasized about that in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, again, and this is not criticizing anybody. I'm asking, how can we take this information so we could get to our brothers and sisters where it can benefit them in the now, whether it be from it or better themselves or better in their situation in these times that we have mass destruction in our communities?
Well, I would say my little solution, because I'm letting Nikki bring her, is, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we have to meet people where they're at. And like anything, you can't really save everybody, you know, because even with the shootings that went in Chicago, those shootings are a result, in my opinion, of not only the mindset but economics. Because really true, when we find the source of the violence alone, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't really manufacture the weapons that they need to possess to really enact these horrifying shootings, number one. And number two, because of we're not really controlling our children or our economics, you know what I'm saying? They have nothing to do. So obviously, a lot of them, especially our boys, hold on a second. Let me mute this line. I'm hearing back on that. Give me a second. Put weight back. And, you know, find something to do. Usually that's where they're going to fall under. Now, Nikki, you could respond to.
Okay, so as far as our brothers and sisters in Chicago and even Detroit and right here in Baltimore City, one thing they're really going to have to realize, once again, their mindset is going to have to be changed. Can I change another brother's mindset? Yes, I can. Have I changed another brother or sister's mindset? Yes, I have. But see, some of us have bought into the illusion of what this system has brought down on us. So the illusion that Marcus Garvey was actually a negative person, and when he was really trying to build up black people, many blacks, as that the gentleman just stated, the brother just stated, that they were against him. Okay, They were against the economic actual development. So right now, let's say in Chicago, they're having dollar homes are for sale, right? So if dollar lots and dollar homes are for sale, even in Detroit as well, there are dollar homes. You know, I would say, you know, brothers and sisters, you're doing this, but let's turn a negative into a positive. And you would actually have to have a plan, but they would have to actually know within themselves that that's something that they can do. So that would be a part of the ambition quote that I read. They would have to have that light lit inside of them instead of those lighting those guns on their brothers and sisters. Now, we're not actually sure. Go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on. Let him finish.
Can I say something?
No, Nikki, you finish?
No, let him go ahead. Let him go ahead.
Oh, man. That's a really good idea, and that's why I say you need, like, a team that's going to show some group effort that's going to really move that like that. Because people do need to see that. And I'm gonna tell you, from being in Chicago, you're dealing with a lot of your little boys who got young parents, and they all in that life like that, right, together, basically. And so, and they gang banging, and that's the mindset they got. And you're right, they not really seeing success. They not seeing it in the way that they can that is tangible for them. And so they do need to see people come back and just move like that. Just start moving like that, man. Start buying up the community. I mean, I guess it's gonna really take a group effort though, because an individual gonna get overwhelmed in that situation. Because I'm telling you, it's airwell. You know what I mean? And so and everybody affiliated. You know what I mean? So it's gonna take a group effort of people just moving like that and just really saying, man, this and then they gonna have to do it damn near like the gangs doing it. When they say, man, this our shit, we finna set up shop, we finna open up this damn community right here, and y'all ain't finna fuck it up. And they gonna have to set up shop like that. I mean, that's how they gonna have to do it. And they gonna have to see it be done. They gonna have to also be stern with their shit, but they gonna have to show love too to the people, you know. So it's gonna take a long. It's a lot, man. It's a lot that's gonna have to get done, and it's gonna start. It's got to start with, I guess, every parent now just starting to teach their kids something better, man. Just, you know what I mean, and try to keep them away from that. And everybody who's lost, pretty much, so you got to fall by the wayside. I don't know if you can save everybody. You just can't.
How could you
well,
get
I don't think you definitely can
Some
save.
people too
you
far
can't
gone.
save everybody. Yeah, you can't. But see, the thing about it is that we also have to look into the government, right? So we're not understanding the type of monster that the government actually is. And I think we do not understand our roles in the government and who we actually are. And what this blue and what the folks are. You have folks in Chicago, right? Y'all is folks or something like that. That's what y'all call each other. Something you have cuz and bloods and things of this nature. But all of these gangs, and there's an actual manual. I think we go it a little further past, but this has to do with Garvey too, because his operation was brought down by the government. So the government has concocted a strategy that has worked so well that it has not changed. And it's been implemented over and over and over and over again. And there's even one on the gangs and how they actually use the gangs to control the crime because crime is commercial. So all crimes are commercial. It's a couple of others. I can go somewhere else with that, but that's something else. Yeah. But what it is that the government is controlling. So when you see all of those shootings and things of this nature going on in Chicago and right here in Baltimore City, I know for a fact that the police are providing the guns and they're also setting up the situations to have these men killed.
Sis, we can't say that all those, listen, you have incidents of that, but we can't put that and lay on the table. We have a problem in our communities as well, within our own people that are committing crimes, and nobody's putting nothing in the thing. Now, are they under a lot of pressure and circumstances? Yes. We understand that. We acknowledge that. But we can't say that the government is responsible for every killing that's going on in our community. There's got to be a time that, to a certain degree...
Can.
Yeah, but we
can. Actually, we can.
Well,
hold on a second, Nikki. Nikki, before you respond, let me open these other lines. 4600, who's this?
Hey, Gary, it's Pianki. What's going on?
All right, stay right there. Let me open one more line. All ones. Who's this?
Hi, Pianki.
Yeah, this is fact, yo. You ain't had to meet my line earlier, but I'm gonna meet myself though, yo.
Okay, all right. Nikki, you can respond. Yeah, all right. Nikki, you can
no,
respond.
He can go ahead. He can go ahead. I mean, he has an opinion.
Okay.
He says that no, you can't. In all actuality.
Listen. Listen. In all communities, we have issues, right? I understand we're under circumstances, but we cannot sit here and say that every case has to do with the government. That is impossible, and I'm the first one to go speak against the government. We gotta be realistic. We're under a lot of circumstances.
Can you name me a specific
and I'm not talking about the
circumstances?
killings by police. Listen, I'm talking about
no, I'm
black
not
on
either.
black crime in the communities. Okay,
There's
because
no black on black crime that doesn't exist. Black on black crime doesn't exist.
Okay.
Well, let me say it like this, Jay. I think
this
the point, Jay. I think this the point, Jay. What they're trying to say is like, yeah, what you're saying is true, but at the same time, every community in America, every black community in America, damn, they got the same problem. So that seems to be systematic. That makes it appear to be systematic, and I think that's the point. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Overall, generally, we gotta stop doing. We gotta do better,
now, like
man.
I said, don't get it twisted. There are pressures and certain things that the gun might be laid out there, and certain influences. Yes, it does exist. I'm saying that not every case a cop is putting a gun in the hands of our brothers to go kill each other.
The cops don't directly do it.
Now, I've seen, I know about people, the outsiders and the suburban Caucasian or white man coming into the communities, buying stuff at the gun shows and bringing it into the hood. Yes, that exists. Not all occasion, but they also contribute to the situation by continuing to leave the lax laws, also to let them continue to manufacture weapons. So everybody has their fault in it. I'm just saying that we can't just point the finger at everybody. We got to look at ourselves as well and what we contribute to our own demise as well. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But has there been any when they did a gun raid, when I seen the gun raid, do you remember the biggest gun raid that they just had and who was involved in it?
Well, in New York, there was 100 people that got rounded up right in New York City. That's been doing raids. They do raids all the time here. So I don't know which one you're talking about. The most recent one?
Yeah, they do raids all the time, too.
And I'm talking about they just did the biggest raid, 100 people. The biggest.
But where did the guns come from?
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. The manufacturer, we know where the source is, but again, it takes two to tango. The source is where Smith and Wesson and all the companies. We can go on to and name all the companies that make it, American gun companies. But what I'm saying is just, I'm just saying, how can we change the mindset, like you said, and start looking at other ways of seeing that, look, at this is laid out for us. We have to find a way around this, under it,
look, Jay,
over it.
Let me ask you a question. What do people use? What do these, and I'm talking about blacks in the inner city. So don't nobody say that whites do it too. Now I'm asking a simple question. What do they use these guns for?
To shoot.
They use guns to protect their turf, right?
Yes.
What goes on their turf? Their turf is an area where addicts come and buy drugs. And they want to protect their turf, so they're in essence are protecting their business. And their business is selling drugs. Now,
and what's wrong with selling drugs?
Well, not everybody's selling drugs.
We
know that. I'm talking about
old school right now, man.
I'm talking about
they call the military.
We can't round this up in
one. The military
banging. I'm trying to say they just gang banging.
They ain't gang banging just for nothing. They got to be gang banging for something.
Drugs. It ain't even about no drugs a lot of times, Bianchi. 9 times out of 10 in Chicago with these little boys, it ain't got shit to do with no drugs.
So the majority of black men that's in prison are in prison for what? Drug use.
You talking about jail. You talking about jail now, and that's different. We talking about the streets.
They had to do something on the streets. They had to do something on the streets to be caught in order to go to jail. Now, here's the thing. You used to have the same problem. Oh, shit, man. Look, you guys go ahead. Bye. You solve your problems by yourself. I don't have them problems.
Shit.
Are we talking about Garveyism?
He got
no, Bianchi just dropped out of line because,
Because he wants to blame black people. He wants to blame black people for what's going on. And to an extent, I do understand the argument that black people have a choice. But that's so far from the truth. It's not the truth.
Right. And listen, I don't want Bianchi to come here and try
to do not have a choice.
Everything on the thing. You can't put everything in one box either. So, yes, like I said, I acknowledge the issues and certain things and our contribution to certain things, but Bianchi can't put everything in one box either and just say, well, this, that, no. There's different circumstances for different situations, and like I said, again, people handle things differently, and I'm just saying going back to you, if we can go back to 360 to what you're saying, how can we round this up with the teachings of Marcus Garvey, where we can get these young brothers and sisters to accept the positivity and embrace him like somebody of now. That's all.
I think what Marcus Garvey's message needs to be remixed, because a lot of young ears ain't finna hear that. They're not gonna hear that the way he put it out there. And that's the thing. I was arguing with my sister actually about these slave movies and Roots. And she was telling me, and my sister in her 40s, right? She was telling me about how that particularly helped her and all that shit right there. And I'm like, okay, I could dig that, but it's a new people not hearing things the same no more. They looking at, you know what I mean? They looking at you know what I mean? For instance, and shit, you know what I mean? They looking at the 40-year-olds around 9 times right now, the young ones. And so it just need to be remixed, is what I'm saying. They need to be broken down to where these young ears gonna hear it again, because they ain't hearing it. They ain't hearing it the way it's being put out there, and it sounds like the damn pastor is preaching now. You know what I mean? And they there's a whole new sound that's going on right now, and and you got to be able to connect with the youth, and that's what we missing out on. We not touching with these guys, because a lot of people scared of them. You know what I mean? And they're scared of their own damn kids. You know what I mean? Because you know, it's a fine line between what's discipline and what's not. So you got a lot of people that's cutting it all the way out, and you know what I mean, and all that shit. So there's a lot of shit to it, man. And so, you know, I ain't no one answer. And I do think you were saying that we don't have a choice. It is a choice out there. People got choices, but it's hard. And I'm gonna say a lot of the influence to do the negative thing is so easy. Because it's real easy to go, everybody in the hood got damn it coke or whatever, you know what I mean, or weed, whatever. So it's easy to go do that, get the 8 ball and make you $100 and get you some Jordans. Well, they ain't $100 no more, but it's easy for that shit. It's easy to think like that, you know what I mean? But versus cutting grass and shit and going to knock on somebody's door and I wasn't
talking about on that level. I wasn't talking about on that level as far as selling drugs. I'm saying as far as even getting into the working period. Just having any type of job is very difficult at this point, because even at 16,
because the mind state needs to be self-employment. We need to really stop looking for damn jobs.
Right,
Fuck
right.
That.
You know what? You hit it right
on
the
head. I agree.
I
definitely
agree.
Even
say no such thing. So that's what I was saying when you were saying that they need an example. They do. They need some people who got that entrepreneurship mentality. But these people got to have some gangster in them. And they got to be ready to move as a unit, you know what I mean, and set up shop in the community and start just showing people what the fuck we doing. Like Sarnetta and them, for instance, they made their money. If they really put some shit together with all them guys like that, they could buy a block or two and start opening up shop. And man, it's my house, it's my store, there it is, and we gonna hold this bitch down, and that shit'll spread just like the gangs. Just like the gangs.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
And I think in actuality, I do think that they can start that, and I do think that is an excellent. Even the ones on the phone, you know, even
but
all
they're
of
not doing
people
they're not doing that. So I'm not saying they're doing that. So I know, you know what I mean.
I'm not saying they're doing it, but I'm saying people in that manner.
We got
people in that manner.
Switch your words around.
It would be an excellent thing. No, I'm not saying they're doing it. No, I follow them. I know what's going on.
But it's like
it would be excellent if they could start something like that.
You see, it's like this. Lara youth that's now 16 or 17 is a sense of direction. And this is where a lot of people the ones that's older have really taken part and failed to a degree because a lot of them, because they went to these same university institutions, have not put in use to their skills to really pass on anything. Teachers.
Well, it's the older person.
Any profession they take apart, you figure it'd be their rightful sole duty to now to pass on something because that knowledge is going to be gone once they turn the grave, you know?
Right.
And we have young ones that have the potential. Some of them are even doctors or lawyers are in the making. So it would make even more greater sense to allow them that's no longer in the field like that and then so-called retired in our cities or anywhere to start take on some of these youths and find the ones that have that potential. Because once you start influence a lot of them at this younger age, before they even, let's say, finish high school or college, it now puts the ideal, to me, of entrepreneurship. You know what I'm saying? Because once you go to a university, let me finish. Entrepreneurship, a lot of these youths don't think of entrepreneurs because they don't see the possibility. Because once you're young and fresh and you don't have nothing but to do or don't have no direction, but if somebody mentors you at that age while you're still in that development and searching, it will change, let's say, make things happen and, you know, change their perspective of reality and the possibility, you know?
You're right. You're exactly right.
But you see, because of the conditioning, and it goes back to the mind, and I go back to courage, wasn't it? Once I control a man's thinking, I don't have to worry about the action. It's the same philosophy that's time that has not failed. That's why when people call white supremacy, they don't change their tactics. They go with the same script and fall head in on because they don't say we have not changed the mindset yet. You know what I'm saying? They probably have some other things on the table that they can use, but they're not going to use it because they don't say our people are still at A. We have not pinpoint B and C yet. You know? Until we start getting across that chessboard, we're going to have these problems. We're going to have what they want to call black and white. We're going to have all the stupid issues we have in these communities. Because we have not... Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. It's just like this. Look, if the elders didn't get it right, or get it to it, then how are the next generation? Like you said, once they're gone, that skill that they have, right, because they haven't passed it on. And a lot of people, what happens is that, you know, they fall on time. They think they're going to be there forever, or they want to hold this. They want to hold this jewel instead of passing it on. It doesn't make no sense to keep it, bottled up or in a treasure chest if nobody else can make use of it when you pass on. So exactly, I mean, you can't blame the youth for what they've learned from the elders, or they learned from each other because the elders was not there to show them. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
Yeah, and much is the lack of empathy and the care, because when you live an old way of thinking, you think, say, leave it all to the European and everything's all good. I read on, what's it called, Falsity and Empathy, the last paragraph I read on that, and it deals with, let me see, what was it called? About, hold on a second, give me a second. Yeah, I believe a race problem will adjust itself. It's falsity. Like it said, if you play on and get along, it's going to fix itself. That's so false. That's why, a lot of our people that's in these universities and get these degrees, you know what I'm saying? They know the Europeans said we're not going to do much use of it. I'm saying because we were thinking in a different perspective, like some of our elders that got education at that time and now are old, don't make use of it. That at times said what we do with what we attain is going to determine the survival or destruction of us as collective as people. You know what I'm saying? So when people ask for education, yes, it is. But it depends what you do it. I look at it as training. I look at education today because to really be educated is a continual step, a process of life. You know what I'm saying? Well, not only you better yourself, but also pass down to the next. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see true education. Right now, what we see today is a form of training, and people like to keep on to things and don't, not only better, but pass on. And that's how we move forward.
I agree. You hit it right on the point.
That's why you look at Garveyism. That's why even when all the outbreaks with the movement starting to crumble at that time, he sees that the institution back at the time, and mind you, that's the reason why he came to America, because he wants to learn how to build an institution. People forgot, so they didn't know why Garvey. Well, that was his first mission when he first came to America, to learn how to build an institution.
Let me ask you a question. If any of y'all can answer, when was the most influential time of Garvey, and what was the time frame of him having this movement? Because this is before you answer. Because I say like the 5% nation, Nation of Islam, that did have a strong influence. At least I remember in the mid or after the crack era, but in the 90s in the streets where the rappers and artists and people was pushing that, and they had the movement. What was his time frame? And again, like what the brother said, how could we repackage this? Like where he says certain things to get these kids to wanna crave this information. Can we put this in the books? Can we push the school system to enforce to have this information just as much as a Martin Luther King Jr.? That's what I want to know.
You can, but it's gonna take the community to get involved with that board, and then go to those meetings and request that type of information be taught in that community and at that particular school. But don't nobody do that. That's the problem. And we real busy. We got a lot of shit going on. I don't know. I guess everybody. I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna take a lot of that.
Yeah. So I would say his yes, I would say between 1912, which I think was the beginning of the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and also up until about 1920 or 21. I think he went to jail in like 1922. Wait a minute, I'm trying to think. I think it's
1925 because he was deported in 1927. So it's like I think he only spent like 2 years in jail. It says a short period of time. Okay. If I remember. I'll look back, but it was a short period. But I would say this: the UNA was
1912 to 1920.
Okay, I thought it was 1914. I thought it was 1914 was established, but okay. I think it was established when he was 28, but you might be right. I might go back still. But yeah.
It's in between there. Right before they got him for the mail fraud.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, yeah. Mm-hmm. And mind you, even during the 20s and before the 30s, and mind you, there were a lot of great people that were working on UNA. I think what's his name? Carter G. Woodson worked for the newspaper for the UNA at that time when Garvey was around. I can't name others. I think Malcolm X parents worked for the UNA during the time when Garvey was around. And, a lot of great people during the time worked for Garvey.
Let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a question. Why you think they don't have them already in the history books? And I want to follow up with a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, let me say, in Jamaica, they do now talk about Garvey. And this was going on now for the last 4 years. A friend told me it's because he went and visited Jamaica.
They're independent now, right? Or they not, or what?
Wait a minute, the teacher Mark Garvey in Jamaica?
Yeah, well, is Jamaica not independent, or they still has ties to England?
No, Jamaica was never independent. That was the illusion. I want people to get this clear. When since the 60s, when Jamaica now become separate, what they said, away from the crown, that is illusion because once the crown said, I liberate you, but did not give you the resource or aim to put something on you, in time you're going to still come back to me. Right now, certain business affairs still have to be dictated by the Queen. People that's in office in Jamaica still have to report to the crown every year. Some money and all that stuff. They still have to report to England. So the question people should ask, is Jamaica real literate? And the answer is no. And people could look it up themselves. That flag you see, black and gold,
Gary, you cutting off.
The Jamaican government gave that. You know what I'm saying? Because back there before the 60s, it was still, the flag was originally the British crown. That flag's only 54 years old. And I want people to do their own research. Don't indulge in if they choose to. Now, Nikki, you can answer.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So going back to the situation of you said that they're starting to teach it now. I thought maybe they would have became independent. Okay, so that's one question that you. But in America, in the United States, why do you think they have not put in the book?
To be honest with you. They mentioned now, Marcus. I'm not sure if they actually teaching his works in Jamaica because, mind you, his works and his teaching is not allowed right now in certain states and in certain countries. Jamaica.
So what about in the U.S.? Do they do that in certain states in the United States, or is it fully the United States where they mention him? If you want to say mention.
I never had any mention of Marcus Garvey ever.
Any reason in particular, as an opinion or a fact that you have, why they have not?
Well, they don't do it because ain't nobody putting no pressure on them to do it.
Everyone didn't like him. Everyone didn't like him. Listen, everyone didn't like those leaders because they had different opinions, just like we have now. Just like we have now, we have different opinions.
Hold on. So all facts. My question is right. Everybody has opinions. I mean, they put a lot of white dictators on there that was like a Hitler. And they have him in the history books. So my question to him, that people that wasn't, so-called black leaders that were rebels and, in the eyes of the United States and England, why are they not mentioned in American history if they are part of American history? But yet you can read about some other white dictator from another country that did massive destruction, but he's also put in a history book. That's my question.
Because with Hitler, the United States was not against Hitler. Okay, they actually embraced Hitler and they embraced his scientists and they brought his scientists here to America to set up the Environmental Protection Agency and other government agencies. So they weren't against Hitler. They actually practiced Nazi Hitler Third Reich right here in the United States, if you look at some of the things that's going on right now as far as eugenics. So Hitler specialized in eugenics. And we can see a lot of that in Hillary Clinton and some of the other socialists that are posing in our government. We have no government. They're posing in these seats that are supposed to be saved for the government, but we have no government. But the thing about Marcus Garvey is that they're saying that he had so much power, actually got 4 million black people together across the entire diaspora. So they were saying even at that time, which is very amazing for a black man to do, he had plenty of help, of course, but they were saying that the black people were so gullible that maybe this is only my opinion, and that they were unable once again to think for themselves. They don't know what they want. They don't, So what they were trying to do is stop the economic takeover and the rise of the Black Messiah. And we see the rise of the Black Messiah and the prevention of it in the letters that Hoover actually wrote. And he actually admits it, and that was a little bit later. But Hoover, if you notice, he comes in a little bit, like right at the, I don't want to say the end, but close to the end of the term of Marcus Garvey. So that's where we see where Hoover actually picks up. And another thing, I think that Martin Luther King is a better example, because Martin Luther King was down with the get down at first. Then he changed his mind, and then even though the message with the government of Martin Luther King is that you can be as good and peaceful as you want to, we will still kill you. So, and that's why they wave him around more than anyone else. And then they say about civil rights. So if you can look into civil rights has nothing to do with black people. And that's another topic, but that's why they wave Martin.
Does that have anything to do with us not really stepping up and saying we want something else?
Okay. I think so. I think at this point that black people are afraid, and it's very. You have a reason to be afraid, okay? Because everyone who has been placed as a leader has been assassinated, medically assassinated, such as Brother Muhammad Ali, or they call it breaking the buck. So what they do to break the buck, they'll do something like what they're doing with, I don't know who to say at this point, but they break you down, all the way down. They will murder you in the end, and they'll say, see, you know, you put these people up as your God pretty much, but we can kill them because we can do anything that we want to do. And you as black people, see, black people have to be uncomfortable for them to fight back. And at this point, it has become normative because they have pumped this in our heads so much that none of us are uncomfortable. You see what I'm saying? And so we will blame each other for what's going on instead of getting angry and actually trying to change it. We will try to figure out and internalize it and see how it was our fault, or see where we went wrong, or see what role or choice we had to take, but it was all orchestrated by the government in the first place. And so a lot of those history book, almost all of it is a lie, because the United States was actually owned by black people from Alaska all the way down to Argentina. And you won't find that in the history books either. So there's a lot of things. They'll start you off with slavery, and they'll keep telling you that you are a slave, when in all actuality, when they say about the indigenous people, they're speaking about us. But see, they don't want to empower you. Marcus Garvey, if they teach you about Marcus Garvey, they will teach you about being empowered.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I know that you're saying that we were indigenous. You said black people, right? Indigenous people, right? So that gives me a description. Why did the white man make treaties with people who had long, straight hair and not nappy hair like black people? Why did he enslave the nappy heads but gave the Indians some of their treaties and gave them guns and didn't give the nappy heads guns? If you're saying that we were over, why did he do that if nappy heads was already over here? Why was it a division?
Right. So the Moors are who I'm speaking of, and this is just a little bit off topic or whatever, but if you look on your money, you will see two symbols on your money, on the back of your money. One of the symbols is the Moor symbol, and one of the symbols is the United States symbol.
Right, but
we actually are under two different governments. That we're still under two different governments, actually.
But this is my question. I understand where you're going at with the Moors and saying black, but I understand the Moors over in Europe, they had guns, but you're saying that the Moors were over here. Why didn't the Moors over here had guns like the Indians did? And, you know, the Moors, they say they had nappy hair, you know, they were dark-skinned, because they didn't look like some of the native Indians over here also. So there was a different feature. They had different features than the native Indians. But why didn't the Moors get guns over here to defeat, to fight the white man? Why didn't they set treaties with them?
They were in deals with them. They were in deals. That's how George Washington became the first white president.
Constitutional president.
Right. Okay.
They did have guns. They had everything. They had a whole side of from Alaska all the way again down to Argentina, which is in South America.
Right, and I'm going to fall back up here. Right, but see, the white man gave a separation between Native American people now. So I'm just saying, there was a difference between the nappy-head, dark-skinned, looking like African, coming from the west coast of Africa, than the Native Americans from Rain Dance, Chief Indians. There was a major difference in physical features, physical appearance. And I'm just saying, the white man in his Constitution separated them. It was the white man, the Indian, and the black, and the African, or the slave, or what have you. He set different treaties from that. Now, you're talking about the Moorish. I'm just talking about people who looked like us, African Americans with nappy hair, did not have no treaties like that. Now, if they want to say that was Moorish, I don't know that, but I'm letting you know there's nothing written record, no document that says.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, it's none.
Yes, there is. There definitely is. About the Moors, there 100% is.
Well, I'm talking about here in the United States.
I'm not going to get into
I'm talking
it.
about here. I'm not talking about Spain.
In the
I'm talking
United
about this
States.
geographical location. Okay.
Say it again. Yes,
I'm talking about this geographical location. Thanksgiving was not because of a nappy-haired man. It was because of a straight-haired, quote-unquote, Native American. There's different physical features.
I don't want to divorce too much on subject on the Moors and country United States. I just want to.
You just gonna have to look up the Moors. You have to look up Noble Drew Ali and then work your way back, and you'll see what I mean. There definitely was. See, because you're thinking still on the white man's level. I'm telling you that the black people, the Moors, had their own country, and I just told you where it was from to where it ended. So you can look that up on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they actually signed the Declaration of Independence, and well, I'm not gonna get in. Just you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. They'll figure out. Nikki, I don't want to get in it. That's
yeah.
So let me check the switchboard. See if anybody has any main questions. And we only have like
nobody said you got her on mute.
18 minutes left. Hold on.
How many portraits and pictures that you see of African Americans or black African Americans with guns in the 1700s? Anyway, how many?
I'm not sure. I don't. What you mean? How many drawings?
Because right, because it doesn't exist. See, sometimes
how would I know that?
People are retelling history with conspiracy.
There's no conspiracy about the Moors. They have their own country right now. They have their own treaty right now to this day. And they operate under their own laws.
You're talking about the Moors
right
from
now.
Spain. But you're talking about Moorish,
no, I'm not.
quote unquote.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the Moorish Americans that are operating right here in the United States.
Did they have
in
nappy
Baltimore,
hair?
Maryland.
Did they look like Wesley Snipes?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm saying.
But those would have been the same
well,
people.
The only thing I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. When the white man conquered this land, hold up, guy. Listen, bro, I've been listening all night, and I haven't been on for 5 minutes. I just want to say this. Ma'am, if you're saying this correct, my question would be, if the white man saw that type of man standing next to the quote-unquote Native American, why did he give one guns and write treaties for one type of people who look a certain type of way, and when it was coming from the Moors who had the nappy head who looked like Wesley Snipes, they enslaved them, they didn't have guns? Why didn't the nappy head Moors come and save their other black African sisters that just look like them? Wouldn't those black African Moors that's over here, wouldn't they get mixed up with the other slave? Wouldn't there be a contradiction there? I'm saying it's a little something. Why is it a difference? Why did they take? If it was two things, why did they give one guns and didn't give my grandfather's guns too? That's my question, because somebody's fucking lying.
I seen a picture though, right, with some little bitty old short Moors with fez on. They had guns next to this tall white dude or some shit, capturing some other short black dudes or some shit like that.
Exactly. So the Moors were for slavery.
But they
had that in Africa. They had that in Africa. They were doing that in Africa.
They
when they were doing that in Africa, they got guns, white man gave the other Africans guns to kidnap other Africans.
See, you think the white man has control. He doesn't. The white man was handed control. He was handed the control. I'm telling you now, there were eight black presidents.
No, the white man wasn't handed control. He took his control. He won the war.
He did not.
He won the war.
It's bottom line, man. Now you're rewriting history. Now, come on, man.
I'm not rewriting. I haven't written any of this. I haven't written any of this. This is not on my paperwork. I don't, and then to be honest with you, since that did happen in 1700s, there's no way for me to prove it, but there's no way for me to disprove it. I understand where you're coming from, but you're using your today's mind
politics,
on something that
I'm
happened
going to tell you something. You're from Baltimore like I am. All politics comes down in all order. All societies come basically down to force. At the end of the day, people win wars and kill people over because of their land and stuff. The way the world is set up now is because of wars. Bottom line. That's the end of the day. It's going to come down to violence. It's going to come down. So I'm just letting you know at that time they did not hand nobody over no treaties. They reneged on treaties because they had most guns. That's why they did that shit.
You're going to have to look up the Moors.
I think the point is if the Moors had this land at one point, and now the Europeans got this land, then they lost the war, and that's just logical. If that's the case,
that's not logical. You have to look it up. You have to see what happened. They had. You just gonna have to look it up. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Y'all have y'all minds made up, and you making things up now. You making things up.
No. It's always.
Okay. It ain't
Jay.
Man.
Oh, sorry. Well,
when were the Moors in a war? When were the Moors in a war with the Europeans? When did that never happen?
Okay.
I don't know if it happened, but I'm not saying that it happened. But I'm saying what he's saying is that wars take place.
Their symbol is on the back of your money. Their symbol is on the back of your money because they are in agreement.
So
they're in agreement.
Be slaves?
They were not. They were never slaves.
Come
they weren't slaves. They weren't kidnapped and brought here. They were already here. But just please look it up. Just please, just look it up. You'll see.
Yeah, because we want to stray too much in the Morris. Since nobody, I'll open back your mic. Cause you have anything else to discuss? Since nobody.
Man, you done went over different subjects, and now you want to ask me, do I have anything to discuss?
I'm in my hands tied right now.
What's up, nobody?
What you mute me for to begin with? Because I was quiet, and you just muted me like, oh, I'm going to move on. For what?
I mean, the subjects be going, and I probably going to stay in the subject, but, it got a little crazy close to the end. But like I said, I only have 11 more minutes left. You have anything to say? Just nobody? And I apologize for the mute, unfortunately.
I'm going to still say, you full of shit. And I apologize for saying you full of shit, but you're full of shit now.
Okay.
And since you only got 11 more minutes to go, and you muted me down to the 11 minutes, that's ridiculous.
But one thing, she did answer the question. Did you catch the question?
No, she did. She did. And I can't even go back to that. I'm not going to go back to that because she didn't answer the question. Cool. She didn't go back, she didn't answer the question. You muted me to where when she stated what she stated, which wasn't true, I couldn't respond. So right now, to me, it don't even matter.
Okay, cool. Well,
you going over time, Gary, or what?
No, we're not going over time. I'm going to end this in a few more minutes because this is such a good night, and I want to end it on a high note. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean it's a good night? It starts at midnight, brother. What you talking about?
What do you mean? No, I'm talking about the intellectual night I had on this subject matter. I can't speak about midnight. Midnight's going to be crazy. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be part of that, but that's another subject. You know what I'm saying? But, we got like 10 minutes. So this is what I'm going to do. In regards to this subject, I want to hear from the callers if, from your own take of, on the subject of you're like it or what they call simple solutions in regards, because usually when I do broadcasts, I like to hear somebody else's perspective of a solution, because this happened, like this history, someone is passed and gone, even when Garvey was at his time, and W.D. Du Bois. So, I'm open the floor if anybody has any in regards to any remedies and solutions. And then we're going to end with a closing statement of justice. Starting with Amen. Amen, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have your take of any from even the history back then now.
Like,
what do you see?
Solutions as far as what?
Yeah, solutions, and even the future moving forward, if you want to include that.
Man, find a way to love yourself, man. That's the only thing I can say, man. That's the only. If you love yourself, you can't hate me, and you can't hate the next man. You know what I mean? And that's why I think people, a lot of people be dealing with a lot of personal issues that came through a lot of systematic shit. So it is, and probably I guess there's a lot of problems though out there. So just share it. Find a way to love yourself. That's all I can say. That's the solution. That's the first thought, as a matter of fact. That's all I'm saying. That's the first thought. And then you can probably love your neighbor, and then it can probably spread around or some shit. I don't know, man. But, it's fucked up how the situation is. But if you keep looking at the grim part, there's always two sides of that. You know what I mean? There's some good shit, too. There's some good things going on, so. But, all right. I'm past the mic.
Okay. Who else? 409. I think he didn't say nothing. I'm not sure who's 3887. Any comments? 38887. All right, guess not. All facts and I don't know if it's Jay. I don't want to say name because I will mix it up. All ones. Two of y'all. Y'all guys anything in regards to closing statements?
I say education, economically empower yourself and educate yourself economically. And once you have found some success in whatever it is and however that high pinnacle is share some of that information and knowledge, for other brothers and sisters, and whether it be in your community, however you deal with that, to pass on that great information where somebody can utilize it, whether it be through the family. People do it through their family. So, I mean, for those that are doing it, continue. It's great things. And most important, is how can we take this information, this great information that we have from the past, and utilize it in the now, that it'll work for people. And if it works and it's a positive thing, I'm all for it. So, I'm here to learn, listen, and add on to it if I can. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, and our final is that, when the shit starts getting hot, brother, don't run. And I'm talking about you, brother Gary. When the shit start getting hot, midnight, they turn up. Don't be scared, brother. This is when the things you have everybody giving the knowledge and, the calm hours, and then you got people that are coming home. It's 12 midnight. They want to get crazy. They want to scream. They want to yell, argue, whatever. But this is the platform to a certain degree that provides that, and people love it. So don't deprive the people of what makes some of the show. That's all.
All right. So, is that everybody? Anybody else? I think that might. Yeah, I guess that is pretty much it. All right. So, in closing, I want people to read this to the broadcast. Garveyism versus Boule. In history, it's good to reflect what happened in the past, because the past, the present, and future are all one and the same. And I want people to keep clear, say, nothing is bad learning what happened in the past. But what we do for it, always a reflection on what's happened in the past. Because the past, present are one and the same. And history does repeat itself at the end of the day. So, to the great quote from Marcus Garvey, say, up you my people, a brighter race, you know what I'm saying? And we will be the kings and queens and rulers of our reality and the world again. And it won't be a short time it will be in the now and present and the future moving forward. That's how I see our people moving forward. And we could come back at this. I'm saying, out of all obstacles, we're still here because we're supposed to be here. Because other races that gone from what we got will no longer be here. But us, we're a different being of people because we are the first, and we're the only ones that could deal with the pressure. And with this pressure, we're going to form diamonds, a beautiful diamond where the light could shine, where the world could see again. Thank you for listening to TRS, Talk Real Solutions. I am Chaos, known as Gary. Good night, black people. And I'll end this with this one right. Okay. Yeah, this is. All right. Good night, black people.